Dave, by the way. Andrew? What's your connection, Andrew? How do you get roped into working the camera?
Through a thrusters program.
Okay.
Got asked a bunch of questions how to do this. To admit, I'm not really sure what to do with it at this point.
Well, I mean, we're only on one camera, so have you just been following the play?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my best.
Oh, at this point, yeah. I think now it's...
I'm doing my best with it. I think I'm out there before the game. I'm trying to follow the
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to find that regular between following them and not
Right. Yeah, this track's on. We always only have one camera. So there's two right now over in the other room. And then we'll be three for couple years, maybe 5 years. But they're waiting for Nandez. I think she tore up her ligaments. There's a... Hopefully not ACL. Have you watched this?
This will be like the third time. I'm kind of used to seeing the first round minutes.
Right, yeah.
I was here for the game last Saturday. That was the November
Like that Ferguson and stuff. Yeah, that's what this tournament is supposed to do that. It's like someone like you actually play the G. Yeah. You can't play senior women's, you can't play this level until junior leagues now. Hey Rex, were you over in the other? Did you get that Belleville score? Do you have that? Do you have scores or anything?
No, because I was here for most of it,
Oh,
and I got almost the end of the Queen City or the Royal City Divas game, which was much closer than everyone probably thought it was.
Yeah. The Divas won.
Yeah, they got lucky. They missed the back block at the end. Jammer went to the box for the Divas. Came in the box, fucking plowed over two girls, no call.
Oh yeah.
Apparently the Jammer ref at one point just wasn't paying attention to Royal City's Jammer calling it off before, and then she was like going like this for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then the Divas were able to score 4 points because of it, because he didn't call it off. He was just like looking somewhere else. I don't know. And then 4 points weren't scored for Royal City on another jam. So, and they lost by like 12, so that's the points right there. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Divas didn't look that good against
Divas?
either.
I'm taking Capital City.
Capital
After
City?
watching them play.
They just won? They just...
They won, they played...
Belleville?
Yeah. They looked very impressive and together and tight.
Not only is that a new team, it's a new league, right?
Yeah, but you can tell when a team actually knows what they're doing, that team actually has everything in place. They have the jammers, they have blockers that can manipulate the packs. They're really tight on their walls. They're always in the right spot in the pack, whether it's for saving points or defending points. They look really good.
So they look good?
Yeah. I'm thinking Capital City is my horse now.
Huh. So they won. So they're playing Orangeville. That should be a good game because the Orangeville looked good too.
Yeah. Who's playing Orangeville?
Ottawa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Royal City plays who then?
So
the Farmers? Good, we can take revenge.
No, not the Farmers.
Who?
Either the Debs or Belleville.
Oh,
That's
okay.
good. That's good.
So,
Okay, man. Yeah.
which could potentially put us.
Oh, the Oosh. Oh, no. You have to beat them in their quarterfinals.
Well, or fucking RDD with their crazy school.
Oh, yeah. I'm all right, because everybody's big game. You're lucky. They only have to win one game.
USA.
No, the LASP.
Yeah. Same with the. Yeah.
They only have to win one because of that. They got that bye.
Yeah.
So they basically get to forfeit wins.
Yeah, yeah. Which sucks. I'd rather them. They still get to play 2 games, but if they actually get through, they get one last game and everyone else. So if it happens to go that way, it's like the tournament's more about playtime than, in my opinion.
Yeah. They moved the South India game. That moved it over.
Yeah. So they took the open slot over there.
Yeah. This doesn't have the cutoff.
Yeah. There's like
It would
a.
be right here.
Yeah, they're taking that open slot, and then I think it's the same thing as this 220.
Game 10.
I was supposed to announce that one and this one, which is funny because I was talking to one of the announcers from G13 for Silver, and I was like, I'm supposed to do this one and the next one. And I was like, how's that gonna work? She's like, well, I guess you'll have to run then. And but she said it. I was just like, I'm not running anywhere. You know what I mean? But Jax has figured out. Like, I think either Ross or her will announce the next game over there, and I'll just stay under this one.
Oh, you're doing a house here?
Yeah, I'm doing that. I gotta work on my voice manipulation. For a house call, I'm very like monotone and calm and relaxed.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Try and listen.
I don't know.
It's turning out to not be a good track today.
No. Get her name. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't actually call the game. I did hear who it was. Oh, misbehaving.
need to help you.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, unless you already have some.
No, actually.
No?
I mean,
It's coming out of the break.
I'm only on. I'm supposed to do 4 in a row, but I'm on day 3.
Yeah. G13. picture. I don't actually know how to do that.
No idea. Sorry.
Why not?
websites. But it's being hosted on layer 9.
No one's frantically tweeting us if you're in your emotions. I haven't checked. Although I can messages you.
Aren't they ready? Come on, opening whistle right now. Let's go.
Hello again, roller derby fans. Welcome back to Fresh and Furious 2014. We've had a bit of a delay due to injury time. What you are about to see is a bout between Windsor's Assault and the Ganaraska Gravediggers here in the bubble next to the Ted Reeve Arena.
Okay. Maybe. We'll see how it goes.
So just a bit of an update on the scheduling because we did have that long injury timeout. We are going to be watching the Ganaraska Gravediggers from Northumberland Roller Derby against Windsor's Assault from the Border City Brawlers. That game was scheduled at 2:20. Hopefully you found your way over to the Ted Reeve feed so that you could see South Simcoe do battle with Queen City. So we're just going to keep everything going here. Just adjust your time if you've been following closely. This is a 2:20 game. We're about 30 minutes behind schedule. So we're going to probably end up around 40 minutes behind schedule. Sounds about right. So just adjust your schedule accordingly. There will be, I guess, a 7 o'clock game over here. Yes, but we will keep forging forward at the 2014 Fresh and Furious tournament. It's been pretty furious so far, and doesn't look too fresh. They look good.
Absolutely, Derby Nerd. You're listening to the Derby Nerd. He was just speaking. My name is Lightning Slim, and you are viewing this on the feed courtesy of Layer 9 Productions. Thank you to Mr. Force for putting this together.
And you are watching the Windsor Assault getting warmed up in the yellow. So this is going to be an elimination game. Of course, if you are just tuning in, this is a one-day 15-team double elimination tournament on 2 tracks so that we can fit it all into 12 hours. And this is the first of our 2 elimination games here in the bubble coming up. Ganaraska Gravediggers started their day off with a loss to South Simcoe Roller Rebels, 67-32. And the Windsor Assault started things off against Buffalo's Queen's Court from Queen City RollerGirls. They lost 91-62. So that means the winner goes on for a last chance opportunity to make it to the quarterfinals. The loser of the tournament is done after this. Over in Ted Reeve Arena, coming up in 9 minutes' time, we have the Fox Force 5 against the Cannondalls. That is not an elimination game. The winner will get a direct pass right to the quarterfinals. The loser will have one more shot to get that far. So yeah, there is each team is being given a warm-up. This is obviously a very important game because for one of these teams, their tournament will be over. And as I said, we're about 8 minutes away probably, so we are about a full game behind. This is actually going to be game 14 if you've been following on your schedule. Game 15 between Les Bouches and the RDD Fresh Meat, the Renegade Derby Dames Fresh Meat team. That game will probably be coming up around 3:40. So we're about 1 game behind on the bubble schedule. but we will get all the action in.
You see there on your screen, Windsor Assault. They're in the yellow. You should be seeing shortly thereafter the Ganaraska Gravediggers. They're wearing the black for this bout.
Windsor has a history at this tournament. The Border City Brawlers, they really made their kind of Ontario Roller Derby debut at the Fresh and Furious tournament a few years ago. It was the first time we really got to see some of their skaters. A lot of their skaters who now play on their WFTDA apprentice. Are they a full team now? Full league? Windsor? Maybe not. Maybe they're still apprentice, but either they're on the WFTDA spectrum and well on their way to full membership status. They got a lot of that team, current team, got their start here at the Fresh and Furious tournament, as did many of some of our finest skaters in Ontario and Quebec. I don't know if there are any front runners so far who have emerged. It's so hard to always tell when you bring fresh meat teams. You want to judge by leagues, but you can't always do that because you just don't know. You could have the Divas, for example, have a fresh meat skater. She's only been playing roller derby for a few months, but she has 10 years of hockey experience behind her. So it's not like she's coming in as that fresh. She's a phenomenal skater and really, really is comfortable with the contact that happens in the pack. So you do never know. We are about to get things underway here in this elimination game, the first elimination game here in the bubble. Windsor Assault in the yellow. In the black is the Ganaraska Gravediggers from Northumberland. Rocket Horror picks up first lead jammer for Windsor. But she doesn't have a huge lead over the Ganaraska jammer. Oh, that's Iggy Popper, one of the junior graduates.
And she jumps into the pack, grabs what she can, which in this case is 4 points. A 4-0 jam to start things for Windsor.
Penalty being called after the end of that jam. It looks like it's just going to go to a Windsor Assault blocker and also a Ganaraska Gravedigger. So 2 penalties being assessed right at the end of that jam. It's going to be 3-3 in the pack. Although I don't think the Ganaraska skaters have realized that it's 3-3 in the pack. They still have a pivot on the track and a pivot in the penalty box. Finally, one being called off. And will we get the stripe as well? There it is. Nice adjustment on the fly.
That's right. Oh, and there she goes with a burst of speed. It is Dracula, number 0 for Windsor. She has done heavy lifting for her team. And just like that, she's back inside the pack.
Chronic Carnage, the Ganaraska jammer getting through, but too late as 4 points picked up for Windsor. Quick start for Windsor, 8-0 early on here. It's a great name, Windsor Assault.
Their logo, the shield logo, we're all familiar with, those of us who use table salt.
And jockeying on the Mill Street jammer line. 3-2 pack advantage for Ganaraska. And the jammers are off. Right through the middle, coming through. Ganaraska picks up a lead jammer. It's Fist and Shout. Fist and Shout is your lead jammer.
She's right in front of Rocket Horror. They're about to enter the pack together. Fist and Shout coming through on the inside with great speed. Oh, and Rocket Horror absolutely laid out by Block Nest Monster.
Wow, Block Nest Monster. Oh, and a back block being called now on Rocket Horror. Power jam for Ganaraska. Oh, a nice jamming from Fist and Shout, number 15, with a nice little toe stop step on the inside to stay in bounds.
Really tidy footwork there from the Gravediggers jammer. She's doing it again on the inside line.
Wow, we've got our first lead change already 3 minutes in. And Ganaraska with a big opportunity with a dead pack at turn number 2. And Fist and Shout just all over the track. Another big pass, another 5 points.
15-point jam for Fist and Shout, and she's looking for more.
Simple offense being played by the Northumberland skaters. A nice timing on that inside sweep. Just open up the lane. And a nice big pickup for the Gravediggers.
Fist and Shout there, calling off the jam at the behest of her bench. Nice work
jam
there, indeed. 20-point jam for the Gravediggers and puts them in the lead 24-8 over Windsor with 16.5 minutes remaining.
Ganaraska from Northumberland Roller Derby, the home league of our head announcer for this weekend, Jack Lotopus. The skates there, obviously too experienced to skate in this tournament. And Windsor now fighting right back, and they pick up lead jammer. It is Tracula once again with the star.
Iggy Popper jamming for Ganaraska. She moves. She is in the free and open spaces, but it is Tracula. Oh, almost a full track ahead of her as she scoots through the pack, spins around, and calls it off.
Nice work from Tracula. Couldn't quite keep her feet, but she kept it long enough to get by that pack and pick up all 4 points. So Windsor coming back just like that now, down 24-12, 4 minutes in. Again, if you're just tuning in, these are 20-minute games. Double elimination each team. I thought they only got 2 timeouts, but there are 3 timeouts written on the board. 1 official review and 4 penalties will get you fouled out.
I did see a foul out in the Ted Reeve Arena earlier today with 4 penalties.
Scrappy start off of that Mill Street Jam line. Looks like Ganaraska is going to get the advantage. Lead jammer goes to them.
It's Chronic Carnage.
Chronic Carnage. And Chronic, the captain, is forced to call it off as Rocket Horror, who's already got a lot of jams in with the star for Windsor, was gaining as they were approaching the pack. So the score holds now 5 minutes in. Fist and Shout back out there right away for Ganaraska after that big 20-point jam.
She's joined by Tracula, also someone who's seen quite a bit of action here on the Mill Street Jammer line.
Again, a huge game for one of these teams. It will be the last game of the tournament for them. So this is a very important matchup.
Oh, Tracula absolutely buffeted, which allows Fist and Shout to move into that lead jammer position.
Fist and Shout does have about a 20-foot lead as both jammers approach the pack. These are 2 speedy jammers. Oh, and a nice hit at the back by the Ganaraska blocker. The Block Ness Monster holding off the Windsor jammer and allowing her jammer to get through and pick up full 4. Nice start to this game for Fist and Shout.
Iggy Popper on the jammer line requesting another blocker to be added to the contingent there. She gets some support there.
5-on-5 on the track.
Tara effin' Headoff was the extra blocker added.
Tara effin' Headoff. Nice names. Iggy Popper now on the outside gets through just past drop kicks Murphy, and she is your lead jammer. Iggy Popper having a strong tournament as well for Ganaraska. Graduate of the Toronto and Peterborough junior programs, one of 4 junior graduates in this Fresh and Furious tournament. Iggy Popper trying to work her way on the outside. Her pack is letting it go alone. Finally now coming in for an inside sweep, and that opens the lane just enough for Iggy Popper to get through, get all 4. Just 2, sorry. Called it off. I thought she'd snuck through there past those last 2 blockers.
She picked up 2, but she did deny Panoramel, jamming for the first time for Windsor Assault. Denied her any points, so a 2-0.
And I believe Iggy Popper, the problem was she was on her knees when she passed those last 2 blockers, and that's why she did not get those points.
30 for the Gravediggers, 12 for Windsor Assault, and just about 13 minutes remaining in the contest.
That power jam making the difference right now for the Gravediggers. Jam is away. Windsor looking to the outside. They do get a jammer through, but she gets taken down hard by the Block Ness Monster, the pivot.
It's Kerosene now skating, but she... No lead jammer yet declared, actually. And she gets it as she emerges from the pack, and she just calls a stop to the proceedings. No change to the score.
The Windsor jammer must have been named lead jammer before she got swallowed back up because she was able to call that off. She must have just got her hips past. Remains 5-on-5 on the track. Windsor with the defensive position in the front. Fist and Shout on the outside. The Ganaraska jammer in black. Windsor jammer on the inside. Makes her way through. Just the pivot to beat. She does get around her. Lead jammer goes to Rocket Horror. Number 75 in the yellow.
Fist and Shout escapes the pack also, but it is Rocket Horror on a scoring pass. She approaches the pack. She is inside now, bouncing off a wall. Gets some jammer support, but immediately puts hands to hips before Fist and Shout can arrive. And that is a 4-point pickup.
All 4 points picked up. And that's going to be important as Windsor tries to get back at this one within 14 now. 11 and a half minutes to go. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are a little bit behind here at the bubble. Everything has been pushed ahead a game. So you're not watching Les Bouches or the Renegade Derby Dames. If that's what you tuned in for, we apologize. That game will be coming up as soon as we can get it to you. You are actually watching the Ganaraska Gravediggers take on Windsor Assault from the Border City Brawlers. Another lead jammer now picked up for the Provocinator for Ganaraska. Oh, and some jammer-on-jammer action on the second straightaway.
Provocinator goes down, and it is Dracula steaming towards the pack, but of course she is denied. Provocinator will not allow her to engage with the pack. The jam is called.
.30-16 now is the score, just nearing the midway point. These 20-minute games, this is an elimination game. Windsor playing for their lives right now. Down as well, trying to come back. Strong defense from both jams off the stop. Oh, and the two Ganaraska blockers collide, and that allows... Is it Horror?
Rocket Horror.
Rocket Horror.
She is lead.
I was going to say Horror Rocket, but Rocket Horror is your lead jammer. Chronic Carnage about to enter the pack, and the Windsor jammer calls it off just in time after picking up 2 points. Again, chipping away at that lead. We've just passed the midway point of this game. 24-point power jam remains the difference. Fist and Shout, the skater who did that, is on the track right now. They are standing on the Mill Street jammer line. A big thanks to Mill Street Beer, a longtime sponsor of the GTA RollerGirls. Oh, and a helmet cover pass right away. And that's going to allow the Windsor pivot to get out of the pack. She, of course, is not eligible to be lead jammer, but didn't quite work, I don't think, the way they wanted it to.
No, she's immediately struck down, which allows Fist and Shout into that lead jammer position. She immediately calls things off to calm things down because the Gravediggers have the lead. 30-18. Just about 9 minutes remaining. The Gravediggers being calm, asserting control.
A nice try by Windsor. Almost pulled it off, but Kerosene just fell as she was pulling away from the pack. And that allowed Ganaraska to pick up lead, call that jam off. This has been a very, very kind of slow, calm game compared to some of the games we've seen. Both teams kind of just slowly marching forward. Very short jams, except for that one power jam that has made up the difference. And we're seeing another tight scrum start. Iggy Popper goes in with a big hit now.
Rocket Horror struck down by Iggy Popper. Iggy Popper wearing the pivot stripe for Ganaraska right now.
Iggy Popper doing it all. A triple threat for the Northumberland RollerGirls.
Rocket Horror picks up lead, although she's holding her chest as she skates by.
She took a couple big hits. Chronic Carnage is now through as well for Ganaraska, but she's got a full track to make up as Windsor already putting points on the board. Iggy Popper was right there, held off on the hit as the whistles were blowing. And once again, Windsor crawling back ever closer. 8 points now.
It's always impressive discipline when a blocker holds back that final hit when they hear the whistles going. It's good sportswomanship. It's nice to see that from, as we've mentioned, Iggy Popper is a graduated junior skater, so she's grown up inside this rule set, and she's doing quite well in this tournament.
Yeah, all of the juniors so far have looked very strong, and you can tell that that experience is shining through.
Lead jammer Dracula going for Windsor. They're trying to close the gap on the Gravediggers here. Chronic Carnage gets a push from her teammates, but she is an entire track behind Dracula, coming through on a scoring pass, and that is 4 points, 4 in the door. She will call that off.
And that's going to make it a 4-point game. 30-26 now, just under 7 minutes to go. So Windsor has almost made up for that one single mistake they made early on. One power jam, that's all that's been assessed in this game. I've noticed so far a trend where Teams are really, really disciplined, and then as the game goes on, in the last 5 minutes, we've seen some teams just come apart in this tournament. I mean, that's, again, we keep on saying it, but this is a fresh meat tournament. That's why this tournament happens, so that teams can have that experience at this level and work those kinks out. But so let's see how the last 5 minutes here goes, and if these teams can keep it together on the track. Big hit on Fist and Shout, who has caused a lot of damage for Ganaraska.
Oh, Fist and Shout. Oh, jumping over a fallen opponent. Gains lead.
And now we're seeing a nice lockdown defense from Ganaraska. Oh. A no pass, no penalty being called on the jammer.
Rocket Horror throwing a huge hit on her opponent, but she actually changed the momentum of the pack and allowed room for Fist and Shout to go through on that Grand Slam.
A Russian Raven seems a little hurt. She took some big hits, having a hard time getting through that pack. She finally is through in her initial pass, but another pass by Fist and Shout, who has been a game changer for Ganaraska in this one, helping to build the lead. And Windsor had all the momentum coming into this jam, so this is a big jam for Ganaraska.
Fist and Shout now putting hands to hips, calls it off. What a jam. What a real change.
Yeah. Nice defense, lockdown defense from Ganaraska, holding that jammer in the pack, and a big pickup for the Diggers, who've now increased their lead back to 16 points. It had down to 4, so big 12-point jam. 5 minutes to go. You are watching the 2014 Fresh and Furious tournament. This is the 4th year under the Fresh and Furious moniker, the 5th time the GTA has hosted a fresh meat style tournament. Thinking back to that first Fresh Meat tournament, the Virgin Suicides Brawl, and talking about the importance of this game when you look at some of the skaters who came out of that tournament. I mean, these are some of the great skaters of Canadian roller derby. Hannah Murphy, Sister Disaster, Soul Wrecker, skaters who are all tonight actually playing for Team Ontario, got their starts here at that Virgin Suicides Brawl.
They're playing Manitoba right now.
Yeah.
Lots of roller derby around the world, in fact. London,
Yes.
Gotham.
Yeah, if you're tuning in, thanks. There's no game going on in London. You don't need to take your eyes off this Fresh and Furious tournament
That's
right now.
right.
Just carry on. No, I think that's probably one of the most anticipated games, I think, of this WFTDA season so far has been that London Gotham showdown. Toronto Roller Derby playing in Baltimore tonight against Charm City, and the Hammer City Roller Girls hosting Ithaca in a WFTDA Division II showdown here in Southern Ontario tonight. Official timeout has been called. Once again, if you're just tuning in, it's Windsor in the yellow, the Gravediggers in the black. Gravediggers got out to a big lead on the strength of a 24-point power jam, and Windsor was able to chip away at that until the last jam when 12 points were put on the board by the Gravediggers. All natural.
This is an elimination game. Loser goes home. The winner moves on. Survives another day to go into the next bracket.
And right now, if you are tuning in, there's also, if you're looking for Orangeville, they're playing on the Ted Reeve feed right now against Ottawa's Cannondalls. So the Fox Force 5 and the Cannondalls from Capital City playing right now over at Ted Reeve Arena. You can even bring up 2 windows on your computer, watch multiple derby games. Bring up 3 windows if you want to have that London Gotham game on in the background as well. You can just fill your screen with derby.
We are still in an official timeout situation. Looks like the team captains and coaches are meeting with the head referee in the center of the oval.
And the bench staff, actually speaking of skaters who've graduated from this, Payne Air, the bench manager for the Windsor Assault, is a member of the Border City Brawlers travel team. She also made her debut here in this tournament a few years ago. All right, we are back underway now. The referee, the skater is really eager to get this started.
Not listening for that next whistle starts the jam instruction from the referee.
Looks like Truckula will be jamming for Windsor, and it's going to be Iggy Popper for Ganaraska when this jam gets underway.
There it is.
And Noroff.
Dracula out in front. She is lead. Iggy Popper held at the inside line by 3 skaters from Windsor. Finally, she breaks free. But Dracula coming across your screen there. She approaches the pack. She has a wall to beat. She is through.
Nice little work there from Dracula. Kind of changed her speed as she was approaching that pack and then got up on those toe stops and danced her way through to make sure she got all 4 points. So again, Windsor once again chipping away into that lead. 42-30 now, 4.5 minutes to go.
Tidy, disciplined work from Windsor's Assault as they try to close this gap. We got 3.5 minutes.
We've seen some big comebacks and big swings of momentum already in this game. All it takes is a few jammer penalties. Even only 30 seconds in these 20-minute games, they mean so much. Lead jammer going to now Chronic Carnage of Ganaraska. Windsor jammer having a hard time getting through this pack. Oh, it is Rocket Horror.
Rocket Horror held up by Miss Universe, but she escapes.
Another
Chronic Carnage.
Through for another scoring pass. Now she's going to call it off.
Chronic Carnage reestablishing the lead, protecting it.
We've had some high-scoring games so far. So far, only 3 teams have broken the century mark. Cannondals have 118 points. Les Bouches putting up an impressive 150 in a 20-minute game here in the bubble earlier today. Of course, their opponents also scored over 100 points, so that was a very high-scoring game. I didn't get to see that one, but apparently there was a lot of 2-minute jams in that game that kept that going. And back underway here. Dracula right back on the track. And
Fist and Shout slips and falls. That allows Dracula to become lead jammer. Fist and Shout, having done so much damage, is in the free and open spaces, but it is Dracula on a scoring pass.
Yeah, actually, I just realized that Fist and Shout was actually the lead jammer. I don't think she quite realized it in time either, allowing that Windsor jammer to squeak through and steal 4 points before she had an opportunity to call it off. And we've talked about this a lot too, and that is those nuanced aspects of gameplay. Just remembering to take a look up at your jam ref. If it's been close or you've come out second, you never quite know.
All of this stuff just coming with experience, remembering who hit you out.
Yeah. And a quick start now. Lead jammer going to Rocket Horror for Windsor. Down by 12. Iggy Popper held up at the back of that pack now, moves to the inside, tries to plow her way through, gets past Paranormal, the pivot for Windsor.
Oh, Rocket Horror gets a nudge in turn number 2, has to reset. She's through. Oh, Iggy Popper almost catching up to Rocket Horror, who puts hands to hips and calls it off. But wait, is there a late assessed penalty?
There is Iggy Popper as she fell. It was one of those situations her foot slipped out of bounds. I don't think she was aware of it. Jam ref was all over it as soon as she stood up. He was there to call that penalty. Power jam for Windsor.
The power start, indeed, as Windsor sets up here. We've just about a minute and a half left. Windsor 38, the Gravediggers of Ganaraska 46, but Windsor on the power jam, away she goes. It's Dracula.
And lead jammer goes to Dracula, so big opportunity here now, down by 8 points, a minute to go. Whenever you're in this place, it could be the last jam, and it could be an exciting one. Oh, comes in hard to the back of that pack, hits through Chronic Carnage, gets by the pivot for Ganaraska, 5 points on the board. 3-point game, Slim. A minute left.
My goodness, Dracula now taking some physical punishment, but they are unable to hold her up. She puts up 5 more, and we have a lead change.
We do, just as Iggy Popper gets back onto the track now, and Dracula is going to call it off. We're going to get at least one more jam in here. And first lead change of the game.
And a timeout being called by the Gravediggers, understandably, as they've lost control. 2 points behind and just a few seconds remaining.
Wow, unbelievable patience from Windsor just to stay in this game. They were down by almost 30 points at one point and have clawed their way all the way back and have taken their first lead of the game. One power jam each now for the two teams, and suddenly they're even. So that was making the whole difference. Dracula is going to take in this final jam. Getting word from Ted Reeve Arena that there is quite a tight game going on over there between the Cannondalls and the Fox Force 5. If you aren't watching, but we'll tell you right now, the Cannondalls have pulled ahead by 2, 24-22. There's about 5.5 minutes to go. So Orangeville looking to come back. Tight one here at the bubble, tight one in Ted Reeve. That's what the Fresh and Furious tournament is all about.
Lots of exciting derby nerd. And I'm looking over at the bench of the Ganawasca Gravediggers. Now, there's some pretty long faces because they had this match in their control and it has slipped away from them. And they've got basically one jam to set things right.
Yeah, and you can see that look of frustration. But really, it has been an even game. And once Windsor got their one power jam to even things up with Ganaraska, we saw that these two teams, 5-on-5, are virtually identical.
And it all comes down to this.
Fist and Shout jamming on the outside. Dracula's taking the inside lane, now trying to get through the middle. Fist and Shout pushes her way through the middle now. She's all alone at the front of that pack, takes a big hit at turn number 1.
She grimaces in pain, but quickly gets back to her skates. She is mugged by the defenders. An out-of-play penalty coming. They release her. She is lead.
Dracula, though, is only about 20 feet back, and she is also through the pack. Both players are going to be scoring now. Fist and Shout's going to come up to some yellow first. She hits that pack, calls it off as Dracula comes in.
What will happen on the scoreboard? A single for Windsor. 4 points for the Gravediggers.
Is anyone going to call a timeout? This is the Gravediggers to call, and there it is. Timeout now being called by Windsor.
No, we have a time. Yes, the scoreboard says that is the unofficial final score. However, a timeout has been called.
50-49 is the score. The Gravediggers did pull ahead on that last jam.
This is photo finish stuff, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the 2014 Fresh and Furious Tournament, courtesy of Layer 9 Productions. I'm Lightning Slim. I'm joined by Derby Nerd. We are waiting to see what happens coming out of this timeout to see if we will get one more jam or whether the Gravediggers have snatched back a single-point victory from Windsor.
And finally now I'm seeing Reffin Adorable, the timekeeper, now indicating that a timeout has indeed been called by Windsor, and time has been put back on the board. There will be 6 seconds left. We will get one more jam in. Sometimes that's just seems like justice when you get that last jam in. That was so close, that last jam.
Wow, Derby Nerd. It is...
I wouldn't be surprised to see either team put the same line out they just had out. But no, it looks like Windsor's going to mix it up. Ganaraska
not entirely sure if they've won or whether they're required to play more.
And they are going right with Fist and Shout again, so they are using the same jammer.
She's been rested thanks to that timeout.
50-49, final jam. Again, one of these teams is going home. The other is going through. A nice quick lead now by Fist and Shout. And she avoids one.
And Rocket Horror. Wow.
Through and calls it off. The Ganaraska Gravediggers hang on to take the win. Smart play by Fist and Shout.
And a very late catch-up by the referees to call off the jam as Fist and Shout exited the pack, was declared lead jammer, and called it off. So that should be an end to the proceedings.
Yeah, and it just seemed like there was some confusion. I don't know if all the refs had noticed the 4 whistles being blown by the Ganaraska jam ref, but well played by Fist and Shout. Get through immediately, without thought and hesitation, called it off.
And Fist and Shout was at the receiving end of some extreme physical attention from the defenders of Windsor. But she held on.
And we are waiting.
Score is official.
Yeah, there it is.
Gravediggers. Ganawasca Gravediggers by a single point, 50-49 over Windsor's Assault. They move on. Windsor will have to go home, and Windsor forming a bridge. Gracious in defeat for the victorious skaters.
You know, it's really interesting. Ganaraska, one of their first games of this season, as they played a few full-length games in their build-up to this tournament. They had a 1-point victory over the Durham Region's Dirty Farmers earlier this summer. So maybe that 1-point victory and the tension that they experienced in that game really helped them here with this one. They've been there before. They've been in a 1-point game. They know how to handle it, keep their emotions in check, which is exactly what they did on those final 2 jams, and they picked up lead on both of them.
Flat track roller derby, a game of never stop, Derby nerds, and proven once again here.
And that's going to do it. So again, the Ganaraska Gravediggers, if you are a fan of theirs or have become a fan of theirs, they have one more chance to move on to the quarterfinals, and that will come at 5 p.m. tonight here in the bubble on this stream on layer9.ca. So be sure to tune in if you're a fan of the Ganaraska Gravediggers. We're going to update you with some changes to the schedule as we try to adjust for time. We'll let you know about that as soon as we do, but I think we're going to sign off for now.
We're going to take a little break, take a look at the schedule, and let you folks know how the rest of the evening is going to proceed. My name is Lightning Slim. I've been joined by the Derby Nerd. Stay tuned. We'll get the rest of the tournament to you. We'll tell you how we're going to do that fairly soon. Bye now.
Welcome back, everyone, to the 2014 Fresh and Furious Tournament. You are watching the bubble stream here on Layer 9, Derby News Network, Canuck Derby TV. However you found us, welcome and thanks for tuning in. I'm the Derby Nerd, joined by Monochrome.
Here I am.
Here in the bubble. We've got some big updates. Of course, we had a long injury timeout, and it's kind of thrown things off a bit here at the bubble, which is going to eventually throw things off everywhere else as well. You have up until about 5 o'clock or so without any changes over at Ted Reeve, but here things have all been moved ahead. So if you're tuning in right now for what you thought was going to be
The
Neophytes against Four Cities Thickets, you're actually watching Les Bouches against the Renegade Derby Dames from Alliston. So the Thickets from Four City and the Neophytes will be coming up at 4:20. So basically everything's been pushed ahead 40 minutes here in the bubble. That will affect things later on, the semifinals, and the finals have also been moved up 40 minutes. So 7:40 will begin the final four. Next game will go at 8:20, and then our third place game will be at 9. That will be a 20-minute game, and then our 30-minute championship final will be at 9:40. Yeah, so lots of changes. So hopefully you're able to follow that. We'll keep you informed as we go on, but on the track coming up is Les Bouches versus the Renegade Derby Dames. Both these teams opened the tournament with a win, so neither faces elimination right now, but one of them will get a very important bye right through to the quarterfinals, and the other will be forced to play in a must-win elimination game. So what are your thoughts on this tournament so far, Chrome? It's been pretty good.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my first Too Fresh tournament that I've been calling, but I can't believe that these are fresh meat.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that a lot of these skaters, I was hearing that Orangeville's, a lot of them, they just had skills testing last week.
Wow.
So not only was it their first bouts, but they had literally just passed their minimums within the week. So pretty impressive to see them in gameplay just coming right off.
I think the leagues are so well developed now and have such good training programs that they're coming into these tournaments more prepared than they ever have been before. Plus, another story we've talked about is the graduation of junior skaters. There's a couple junior skaters involved in this game. For the Renegade Derby Dames have 2 junior graduates, Lil Mayhem and Shatterproof, who are playing as well. So that helps when they've been playing.
Seeing that.
Yeah, when they've been playing, they got that track experience coming into their senior careers. It helps so much.
And to put that in perspective, even junior roller derby hasn't been around for more than 3 or 4 years. So
in Canada, anyway,
in Canada, anyway. And so to see these skaters then graduate up to seniors in such a short amount of time, even in Canada, roller derby 8 years ago was barely a blip, and they certainly weren't. And I was on one of those teams. We weren't skating even to this level 8 years ago. So it's a very different game, a very different dynamic that's happening. And you definitely see even these newer leagues that maybe this is their only team, or the freshest of the fresh in a 1 or 2 year old league. They're still getting that coaching from neighboring leagues and getting that experience. So it really levels the playing field.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, this Les Bouches team that you're seeing, the defending champions of this tournament, are actually a mixed Quebec team. So there are skaters from Rimouski Roller Derby, from Trois-Rivières Roller Derby, and from Montreal Roller Derby, and from Cornwall, which I guess is technically in Ontario, but it's right on the border. And they're closer to those Montreal leagues than they are to other leagues in Canada as well. Right. So they're playing for them. And we are about to get under the way. I believe that's La Grande Noisseur jamming for Les Bouches. It is, and she quickly goes to the outside. Crazy Squirrel, though, able to knock her in. Those are 2 skaters to watch in this game.
That's number 99 jamming for the Renegade Derby Dames. She is lead jammer.
Crazy Squirrel, number 231, has been absolutely, unbelievably phenomenal in her first games. Talking about Grand Noisseur is a very good fresh meat skater. She was just here for the Clam Slam a few weeks ago, but she's being owned right now by the Crazy Squirrel one-on-one.
Shatterproof jamming for the Renegade Derby Dames, coming in for her second scoring pass.
Speaking of those junior graduates, that is Shatterproof is one of them.
She calls it off.
Crazy Squirrel does have a history in Derby, but I believe she's coming back after a long career layoff, maybe a few 9-month injuries involved.
Okay.
But yeah, she is phenomenal. Speaking of high-level play at this Fresh and Furious tournament. Big start for Renegade Derby Dames, up 9-0. Ooh, scrappy start on that Mill Street jam line. Neither jammer able to get any motion forward. Finally, the Renegade Derby Dames jammer now has the lead. Gets knocked to the outside, though. Forced down, but quickly back up.
That's Gonads that took her out. And that's number 8. That's Rapidass. That is now the lead jammer for Les Bouches.
Rapidass from Rimouski Roller Derby. Coming up on her scoring pass now, getting the first points on the board for the Bush. Makes a nice little move to the outside. Is she going to call it off in time? She does not. Oh, and it looks like power jam now for Les Bouches.
That was a smart move. Cast and Crunch is going to the penalty box for the Renegade Derby Dames in green.
Suddenly have ourselves a tie game, 9-9. First mistake of this game goes to the Renegade Derby Dames. Les Bouches with an opportunity here.
Signaling to her players to make that gap on the inside line. Renegade Derby Dames really stopping that move from happening. Slowed her down moderately.
Moderately, enough. Again, these 30-second penalties in a long game, power jams don't have as much of an impact as they used to, but they still do in these short games. Wow, and Les Bouches really pulling away now. 14 points on this jam and more to come as she is on another scoring pass.
Cass and Crunch has one to beat, and she can't quite make it. Both skaters fall. She takes off. No penalty there, but no impact.
Cass and Crunch is through. It looks like Boucher going to try and get a few more. Oh, big collision at the back of the pack.
Cash just taking those hits.
Finally knocked to the inside. And no pass, no penalty.
She picks up 4.
Smart heads-up play from Rapidass to get up and just, again, I'm talking about the level of sort of track experience that they have, realizing that that blocker who knocked her down went out of bounds as well. So she was able to get back up on the track and get right back into play.
Yep.
That's usually a kind of game experience thing that takes some time, right?
Yeah.
But no.
But you know, there's been enough derby that you can watch online, like you're watching at home, that these skaters are actually really studying. When they're not on the track, they're actually on the track in their brains, and that makes all the difference.
Le Grand Noisseur takes a hit but stays on her feet and is your lead jammer. Number 36 jamming for Renegade Derby Dames. Got about a track to make up. Or Busty Limb, sorry, that's number 38. Oh no, 3G. That's why I was so confused. Yep. Bad decisions.
Those numbers.
Yeah, trying to find number 36 on my roster list. I was not going to find it.
Nope.
Nice hit though, forces Le Grand Noisseur to slow down. She's got one more to beat now, back onto the first straightaway. Does make her way through. And look at Camionette just going face to face. Frustration showing on the Renegade Derby Dames jammer. She took a big hit. Bad decision getting drawn back by Le Bouche pivot. And Le Grand Noisseur getting through with another pass. And bad decisions, just having a hard time. Phenomenal defense, though, from the Quebec blockers, led by Camionette, the pivot.
She does get around Busty Limb, so Renegade Derby Dames, their jammer is out. She has picked up 4 points on that pass, but really had to fight for them.
Les Bouches did this in the last game as well. When they get the lead, they just keep that clock going. And they're doing this. They seem content to just change points. Again, point differential doesn't matter, so they're just kind of working the clock now. And they did. They built about a 40-point lead early on in their last game against the Neophytes, and then just kept on getting leading, kept on running these 2-minute jams so that the Neophytes were never able to quite get back into it.
Yep. And that really tests the endurance, especially in these fresh meat games. If you know that you can go those full 2 minutes and you aren't quite sure that your opponent can, it's a really great strategy when you're playing at this level to really test someone else's stamina.
And these teams from Montreal and Quebec have a tendency to be quite strong in terms of their endurance. Crazy Squirrel, the skater to watch, back out there now, but she was held away from the jammer long enough that the Quebec jammer was able to get through and pick up lead.
Shatterproof, just scuttling her way through. She doesn't have lead. She's about almost a full track behind.
Rapidas is the jammer once again for Les Bouches. She's in the pack.
Giving Shatterproof some time to catch up. She has passed her.
And once again, seeing Les Bouches not calling it off. This time it may not work to their advantage, though, and Shatterproof is through with 4, and she's going to try and get around again. Now it is that. Oh, and a big hit from Crazy Squirrel just at the end of that jam.
Not enough time for Renegade Derby Dames to pick up a few more points.
And she is. Crazy Squirrel being called for the late hit. An illegal procedure call, so that'll keep her out of the box. Whenever she's on the track, things kind of tilt. The track seems to tilt for the Renegade Derby Dames, so they lose her for a jam. And Le Grande Noisseur, who was ineffective against Crazy Squirrel in the first jam, picked up 24 points in the second. So let's see what she can do here now with a slight pack advantage. Eats it up very quickly.
Yep, nice little move on that outside line. 1996 having some trouble at the front there.
Little Mayhem, another one of the junior graduates.
And she takes that inside line. Nice move by our blocker there.
Oh, Le Grand Noisseur. You know, she picked up she played in the opening game of this year's Clam Slam and really saw her improve as that game went on. She's going to be someone to watch moving forward. Crazy Squirrel back into the pack from the penalty box and immediately locking on with that 1-on-1 defense against Noisseur.
Camonette just really making it difficult for Renegade Derby Dames jammer there, Little Mayhem.
'73-30, 43 points is the lead. I mentioned Les Bouches defending champions at this tournament. And really kind of two-time defending champions. They skated under the Smash Squad 3 years ago, but it was also a mixed team from Montreal and Roller Derby Quebec skaters. So we've always had a mixed team from Quebec coming to this tournament. And they've proved successful. And just so strong, able to power through. And they're sticking with a pretty tight jammer rotation. Rapidas out there jamming. Once again, she is your lead jammer.
That's Riot Rhythm skating for the Renegade Derby Dames.
Rapidas coming up into the pack and scoring. All 4 Les Bouches skaters at the back. A couple points, though, have been picked up now. Nice job by...
She's got them all 4.
Riot Rhythm.
And now she's picked up that 5th. Nope, she doesn't. She hasn't lapped her yet. So 4 and 4.
She has pulled ahead, though, and Rapidas looks like she's going to let this one go. They're going to go again, perhaps another full 2 minutes.
Yep, she's trusting her pack, and it's working to her advantage, but I don't know. Riot Rhythm doing a great job holding her own.
Yeah, and that's an 8-8 jam. But again, the Les Bouches do have that lead, so they can run those 2-minute jams. And it doesn't cut into their lead at all. They're still up 81-38, the midway point of this game. And it's been moving quickly. Once again, we're a little bit behind here in the bubble. So you are watching Les Bouches in yellow and the Renegade Derby Dames in green. Oh, and Camionette now jamming the pivot and captain of Les Bouches with her first jam with the star. She's been pivoting it primarily.
And that's Shatterproof jamming for Renegade Derby Dames in green.
Oh, and a nice move from Camionette. Faked outside, went back through the middle, able to cut through that 2-wall and pick up all the points. Calls it off. A big lead continues. Once again, the loser will not be done. The loser will have one more opportunity coming up at 5:40 in an elimination game to get through to the quarterfinals, but the winner will get a bye right to the knockout round. So it's important to get that dinner break.
Absolutely. Although it depends on the team. Sometimes you really just need to keep your legs moving and keep your brain in the game. So
yeah, especially where maybe you haven't played many tournaments and maybe your body will start to seize up or get a little tired if you have to wait too long.
Yeah.
Rapidas is through as your lead jammer.
And Darlington Stripe.
Oh, yeah. Her
new jammer out.
First jam of the game for Renegade Derby Dames. Rapidas hits that pack as she's calling it off. Did anyone get any points?
No, sir, they did not.
Again, I have a feeling Les Bouches will take that.
As a win.
Yeah. 8 minutes to go. Le Grand Noisseur back on the track. The Big Darkness. The Big Darkness. It's kind of a terrifying name.
It is.
And jamming for the Renegade Derby Dames. Oh, that's 3G again. Bad decisions. And Le Grand Noisseur and Crazy Squirrel once again going one-on-one. Crazy Squirrel forced to peel off now. Riot Rhythm is the last line of defense. Le Grand Noisseur gets through. Lead jammer for Les Bouches. Bad decisions, though. Not too far behind. She's got about a half a track to make up as Noisseur comes through the pack. Easily through. Just hit at the end by Crazy Squirrel. And that forces the call off. Oh, no, a cut.
Oh,
Never mind.
Cut. She did not see Crazy Squirrel rancher, but now cut for both jammers.
Both jammers. So.
I guess if you're going to cut the track, do it when the other jammer does it.
Yeah, I guess. If you can time it that way.
Yeah.
So both these jammers will come right back onto the track. We've got a dead pack at turn number 4.
Yep. Which is a nice position for the pack to be in when they're waiting for their jammer, but maybe not so much for the Renegade Derby Dames there. Didn't really have the response time they needed to get that jammer, and now they're stuck trying to help their own jammer through.
Bad decisions, able to get through. Grand Noisseur already coming around to score. She's working her way alone at the front of that pack, weaves through on the inside, picks up points. And I believe Le Grand Noisseur just succeeded in calling off that jam.
Which means she goes to the penalty box.
Yes, it's kind of an uncomfortable penalty because I saw the jam ref, as he was calling it off, realize she wasn't lead jammer. But that punishment does go to the jammer.
Yep. Can't punish the refs.
Nope. She was not lead jammer. She successfully called it off. That is a penalty. So power start now for the Renegade Derby Dames, trying to get back in this one.
Yep. They're going to take their time out just to discuss some things, maybe work on some strategy and how they are going to use these next 6 minutes and especially this next jam to their advantage.
6 minutes, 20 seconds to go. Slight point adjustment made just on the board there, 93-42. It's a pretty big lead. As we mentioned earlier, the Renegade Derby Dames made it here through a victory against Forest City's Thickets in what was a very interesting game. That game ended up being called because of injury with 30 seconds to go, but the Renegade Derby Dames have been losing for the majority of that game, and they just charged back at the end and ended up winning it by almost 20 points. And they picked up that whole lead in the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yep.
And
especially heartbreaking given that they lost one of their skaters in the process of that. So, you know, I think that they're really hoping to sort of pull it together and maybe win one for their teammate.
Yeah. Yes. That was Misbehavin', which is why she's not in this game currently. Renegade Derby Dames are a full WFTDA league, looking to make their way into Division 3. All right, we're back underway now on the track. Power start here for Renegade Derby Dames, and Shatterproof gets through quickly and is your lead jammer. All 4 blockers on the track on the power kill for Les Bouches, led by Camionette there. Pivot. Oh, and Crazy Squirrel with a quick sweep, knocking Camionette off her feet. I have a feeling Camionette will not let her guard down so easily again.
Look at it, she's going to
and this time they were ready.
They were ready.
And able to lock in the defense. And Crazy Squirrel also, her timing wasn't as good that time, a little early. Shatterproof falls down. Great penalty kill here from Les Bouches, forcing her out of bounds. Le Grand Noisseur is back on the track. And heading right to the penalty box again.
Yeah.
Tic Tac, yeah, the jammer ref isn't... there's some confusion about this jammer penalty. We'll see how it plays out.
Meanwhile, Shatterproof is picking up the points here.
Big opportunity, back-to-back power jams now for the Renegade Derby Dames. Oh, Camionette with a nice hit on the outside, forcing Shatterproof to reset. Shatterproof quickly back in now, going face-to-face against the last blocker, gets through. Big pushback by the Dames.
Absolutely. And just, Quebec's players just keep getting pulled away. Just 2 blockers in the pack. Their jammer is back on. Shatterproof coming around for yet another set of points here.
Grand Noisseur again. Once again, her nemesis all game has been Crazy Squirrel, the Renegade Derby Dames pivot, and is just having a phenomenal tournament.
Certainly not going to be a freshie for long.
No. And
Shatterproof calls it. Not in time for LaBouche to pick up points, but worth the effort.
And yeah, nice apex jump, landed very, very nicely. I think she even got both feet down before she went to her knees. Crazy Squirrel just staying on the track. Renegade Derby Dames just telling her to turn around and go back out.
Yep.
There is a noticeable difference.
That again.
Yes, there's a noticeable difference when she is not on the track.
Yeah.
In 94-73, Renegade Derby Dames were just down by 50 points. Suddenly now within 21. 3:50 to go. Timeout being called by Les Bouches. Conasla Barber, speaking of graduating skaters, she made her debut here 2 years ago with the Smash Squad. Conasla Barber now coaching and playing in Montreal Roller Derby's House League and coaching Les Bouches. So big momentum swing there. Renegade Derby Dames are going to try and keep this going. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, including Mill Street, and they are sponsoring our Jam Live and a longtime sponsor of the GTA RollerGirls, and they make delicious beer.
Yes. And Zach's Bruce Cream has been taking care of that penalty box for us that has been seeing lots of action in this bout and throughout the tournament. And of course, Monster Muffin is the sponsor for the entire tournament. They've offered a sizable gift certificate to the winner of this whole tournament to get themselves some nice uniforms and shorts and anything their little hearts desire.
That's a pretty nice gift.
It is a nice gift. Monster Muffin makes great stuff, and I believe the Renegade Derby Dames are actually wearing Monster Muffin uniforms tonight.
I believe, not to bring up conflict of interest, but doesn't Monster Muffin play for Renegade Derby Dames? Their travel team, yes. Not this team, of course, but the travel team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy Squirrel, once again, knocking Camionette out and dragging her all the way back. A one-woman wrecking crew is...
doing this exact same thing, though, to Renegade Derby Dames jammer there.
Yeah, so nice job by Les Bouches as well. Also, and they're working a little more collectively on Cass and Crunch. Camionette finally able to get through.
Cass and Crunch passing the panty to Crazy Squirrel. She's out.
Oh, Camionette with an easy pass. I think in the midst of that helmet cover pass, they didn't realize that the Quebec jammer was coming up so quickly. Able to get through with an easy pass. Build back that lead just a little bit. 25 points is the difference. 2.5 minutes to go once this jam gets underway. 5-on-5. Penalty boxes are empty. Jammer's released. Oh, inside line immediately opened. A nice job. Lil Mayhem is your lead jammer. Nice work by the Renegade Derby Dames pivot. Number 416, Darlington Stripe.
And Candela Arquez, number 314, jamming for LaBouche. She's not able to come around. 4 points awarded to the Renegade Derby Dames.
Candela Arnac.
Aha.
Think I said that right?
You're probably better than I am. I'm more of a Spanish speaker, so I just mess it all up.
All right. So able to chip away a bit. 98-76, a minute and a half. It may just be, again, just not enough time left on the clock for the Renegade Derby Dames. That they've been trying to mount a fierce comeback here. A lead jammer now just going to Les Bouches. Another, it looks like Les Bouches are starting to expand their jammer rotation a bit. That is Badlane.
Right, rhythm jamming for the Renegade Derby Dames. Yep, they're going to call it off. See, Renegade Derby Dames did pick up 2 points.
Badlane got her points. Camionette, though, coming back out now as we get to that minute mark. 102-78, second straight game now. Les Bouches have gone over the century mark. Timeout being called by Les Bouches. So up 102-78. Now they've been putting on an offensive display here, but their defense has also been a little bit questionable at times as well. They've given up in 2 games so far 183 points in 2 games. So even though they've been putting the points on the board, their defense has been exposed a little bit, so teams can score on them. It's just figuring out how to stop them seems to be the issue.
And again, that comes with practice. That comes with more game experience. But really, when it comes down to it, especially in a tournament, whoever has the most points wins.
That's right.
It doesn't really matter. In the last bout, we saw a 1-point victory, and they're still advancing.
That's right. Yeah, especially in tournaments, right? Point differential doesn't mean anything.
Right.
W means is the only thing that means anything. Hey, look at this. A pivot line start. Le Grand Noisseur wearing the jammer, or the pivot stripe, leads her pack up to the pivot line. Renegade Derby Dames coming just up off that Mill Street jam line. No pack being called. Both teams quickly reform. Both engage. Lil Mayhem gets knocked to the inside and dragged back, and that's going to allow Camionette an opportunity to work with the pack. But again, Crazy Squirrel is right there as the last line of defense. Chest to chest, Camionette just trying to push her out of play.
Or at least buy some time for Little Mayhem, but she is just as stuck. And there is a pass. Crazy Squirrel takes the jammer panty.
Oh, but Le Grand Noisseur with a nice hit on Crazy Squirrel. But Squirrel is through. We're under 30 seconds to go. This now, unless Les Bouches call it off. No, and yes, very smart. Conas Le Babard telling Camionette just to go. It's their clock now. They can give up as many points as they want now. There's just not enough time. And Crazy Squirrel heading to the penalty box. Can't falter too much. She's been such a big player for this team. And Camionette now gets 5 more points. Takes a look, sees that scoreboard has come down to 0. And now getting the indication from her bench.
Yeah, why not?
Save yourselves, skaters. You've got a couple games coming up. Les Bouches victorious and moving on. The defending champions straight through to the quarterfinals. If you are watching from Quebec or Cornwall and would like to cheer them on, they're going to be on again at 7 p.m. and that will be at the Ted Reeve stream.
Yes.
That game originally was scheduled to be here in the bubble, but that will be moved over to Ted Reeve at 7 p.m. So Les Bouches into the quarterfinals, awaiting their opponents. But we know that they are through. Impressive win, still waiting. And there it is. The official final now is 111-78. Les Bouches victorious.
So we will see the Renegade Derby Dames once again in Game 20 at 5:40 here in the bubble. They're going to be skating against NRG's Gravediggers, who just had that 1-point victory.
That's right. To stay alive. So it's going to be an all-Ontario showdown in that elimination matchup. Coming up next on this track, Forest City's Thickets against the Northeast Ontario Neophytes. Stay tuned. That'll be coming up shortly at about 4:20, so you have about 15 minutes or so to check out what's happening at Ted Reeve, grab yourself a beverage, and then get back in front of your computer for that game.
That's right. Maybe you could find yourself a Mill Street or a Zach's Bruise Cream. That could work, right?
Yeah, rub some cream on a bruise while you're drinking beer to ease the pain.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap this game We've been joined here with Monochrome. I'm the Derby Nerd. You've been watching the Fresh and Furious 2014 on layer9.ca.